Hello, Ms. B. For my effective and speaking and writing final project, I'm going to be comparing and contrasting Coca-Cola's ads in different periods and time. The following are the aspects I'm going to cover throughout my presentation. Now, I've decided to classify the ads into two main groups, the vintage ads and the modern ads. The modern ads represent Coca-Cola's actual marketing efforts, whilst the vintage ads are ads released over 100 years ago. For the content, we see how the vintage ads, the old ads, present a lot of information that says that Coca-Cola's products serve with a medicinal. Now the language. We can see how the vintage ads are written in a technical manner, which is coherent to the message they're trying to transmit, reflected in the excerpt shown in the presentation. But modern ads use rhetorical language instead of actual information to transmit a message. Their slogan, "Taste the feeling," it's a metaphor which will be explained later. Now for the style, we can see how each advert, each group has a way to present the advertisement. The modern ads were delivered in a digital picture, whilst the vintage ads were hand painted. They used a colorful, warm palette to reflect a soothing environment, which ultimately represents the experience at the moment Coca-Cola was trying to sell. For focus, we can see how the vintage ads presented Coca-Cola's product as a medicinal substance, while modern ads present the products, Coca-Cola products, as a recreational beverage. They switched, they shifted from a medicinal substance to a recreational beverage. Now, for the attitude, I've considered Coca-Cola's ads or to represent an empathetic attitude towards the audience by offering an alternative drink when consumers' wants or needs were changing. In both times, in both different periods and times, we see how the Coca-Cola company was active and understanding to its consumers' wants and needs. Now for the atmosphere, vintage ads reflects a warm, soothing environment, just like the Coca-Cola feeling they're trying to transmit. While the modern ads portray a warm environment and the products serve as a refreshing contrast to that warm environment. Both of them use attractive women in their advertisements. Now, the metaphors in each advertisement are presented in their slogan. First, for the vintage advertisements, the old advertisements, we see the Coca-Cola, the ideal brain tonic. It is saying that Coca-Cola is a medicinal substance for the brain rather than a drink. And then for the modern ad, we see the metaphor also represented in their slogan, "Taste the feeling." The slogan insinuates that tasting a Coke is an emotional experience that you feel rather than a flavor that you taste. Now, for the conclusions, I want to start first with the modern cultural aspects. In the picture to the left, we can see an African-American woman drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola. This represents an expansion on Coca-Cola's target market, which has expanded into one more global and universal. An African-American woman would have never been published 100 years ago in a vintage advertisement, in a vintage ad. Now, for the vintage cultural aspect, we see how the message transmitted in the ads reflect a time in society of the United States when the public was veering away from alcoholic beverages and Coca-Cola served as a nice, healthy alternative. How has Coca-Cola's marketing strategy changed over time? My analysis led me to conclude two things. First, that Coca-Cola's messages are way simpler and easier to understand since they have to reach out to a more universal and more diverse audience. And second, their pictures and marketing efforts shows that they now sell Coca-Cola products as a simple pleasure instead of a medicinal substance. I would like to end this presentation with a quote from Marcos de Quitos, Coca-Cola's new CMO, that says, "We found over time that the more we position Coca-Cola as an icon, the smaller we become. The bigness of Coca-Cola resides in the fact that it is a simple pleasure. So the humbler we are, the bigger we become." Thank you for your time.